Welcome everyone to a new video. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry it's been so long since I posted a new video. I was actually on vacation last week and I didn't really have the equipment that I need to really post a video, unfortunately. That being said, I really want to get this video started. So I originally wanted to do a video that featured 5 different teams, but when I recorded that, unfortunately that was corrupted and didn't save properly. So instead of doing that, I'm going to be doing this video here because it's available to me. I'll be doing another video sometime tomorrow, most likely, that involves having 5 different teams that you can use for the Holiday Cup. That being said, the team that I'm featuring today is probably the one that I had the most success with. The lead for this team is going to have a Ferrothorn that ran Flash Cannon as well as Power Whip. In retrospect, I think that Flash Cannon and Thunder can both be used in structuring this. Thunder gives you better coverage against those flying types, but Flash Cannon is the general overall good nuke move on the Ferrothorn. In the back, I have 2 community Pokemon. I chose these 2 for a couple different reasons, the big one being that they were community Pokemon and had easier access to. The second reason would be that they do cover the weaknesses of Ferrothorn pretty well. Ferrothorn is relatively weak to fire types as well as fighting types, which both Talonflame as well as your Altaria should be able to cover pretty easily. On the other side, the biggest weakness for the Talonflame will be water types or rock types, which Ferrothorn covers really well. In addition to that, the Altaria is also weak to rock types, but also on top of that, the ice types, which is why I thought Flash Cannon would be a good choice on the Ferrothorn. Overall, when playing this team, I eventually went 12-3. My first set, I went 5-0. The set that I'm showing here, I went 4-1. And then the third set, I went 3-2. Anyhow, that's enough talking. Let's get to some battles. So in game 1, my opponent leads with Obstacle, which is actually just a really bad matchup for my Ferrothorn, so I switched directly into my first anti-counter Pokemon, which is going to be Talonflame. The reason for this switch is because Talonflame can actually put a lot of shield pressure on with Brave Bird. In addition to that, if it can just stack flame charges, it can really set up a good second fight for whatever comes out when it has 2 shields. My opponent stays in, which makes me believe they have a really good response to the Ferrothorn outside of Obstacle. They got a attack buff on their Nice Life, which isn't great for me. At this point, I'm just going to farm it down so I have a lot of energy for whatever's going to come out. The first Pokemon I see is going to be a Manabuzz. So for Manabuzz, at this point, I'm just going to throw as many flame charges as possible. The first one went through, it was shielded. The second one should also get shielded by the Manabuzz over here, which it does. At this point, my Talonflame has gotten 2 shields, and on top of that, it's one me switch, so it's done its job. I'm okay with letting it go over here. After this goes out, I'm going to bring out my Altaria and go ahead and just do as much damage as possible and try to save some extra energy for whatever may come out. I'm using a shield here because I know that both my Altaria as well as my Ferrothorn cover each other's weaknesses really well. So if I can preserve the health on my Altaria, it doesn't really matter what the third Pokemon is. If the third Pokemon is an ice type, my Ferrothorn can take care of it. If the third Pokemon is a fighting type, my Altaria can take care of it. This way I can just leave my options open up for that third fight. The third Pokemon went down, and the last Pokemon is going to be a Vigoroth, so it's good that I was able to preserve some health on my Altaria because I'm resisting the counters, and it actually has to get a Body Slam off to really take me out here. After getting that Sky Attack chip damage off, I can actually just get to 1 Power Whip here, and I should be able to take out this Vigoroth. They're going to throw a Bulldoze here, but it's not going to take me out, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to get to this Power Whip and be able to go ahead and finish off this Vigoroth right here. And there goes game 1. In game 2, I see a pretty spicy pick. It's going to be a Chestnut, which I actually haven't seen in common for a very long time. Chestnut's charge moves are going to be Superpower as well as Energy Ball, so I know that I can't actually take a hit on my Ferrothorn from this Chestnut. So I switch into my Altaria because it's a pretty solid safe swap, and they respond with Vigor, which is another good safe swap as well. Personally, if I were them, I probably would have kept the Vigoroth for the Ferrothorn matchup, but you know, it's their call at that point. The one thing this really tells me is they probably don't have a good response to Talonflame in the back because they would have probably brought out that response over for my Altaria over here. The best thing about the situation for me is that Altaria can actually beat the Vigoroth in the 1-0 shield, so I'm okay with this matchup overall. They're going to bring the Chestnut back out now, which is okay with me. They're able to Vine me down, which isn't super great. I'm going to respond by bringing my Talonflame back out, and I'm going to try to farm it down over here. Now, the worst part about this match is I actually didn't realize that this specific Chestnut actually had not Vine Whip, but Smackdown. I mean, it was doing a lot of super effective damage against not just my Talonflame, but also my Altaria. Spoilers, my Ferrothorn's really good against Smackdown Chestnut. They bring out their Marowak and they don't block to my Braver, so they're in a really bad position at this point. I'm going to Flame Charge over here, and then I'm probably going to dip because I know that the Chestnut's going to come back out and instantly start throwing as many rocks as possible. That being said, I don't want to take that rock damage over here. I had a feeling they were going to superpower here, which is okay with me. I'm not going to actually block these because I don't need to block them. The second one I don't need to block at all because if they go for superpower, you know, it takes out my Ferrothorn, but they're so weak over here that they're going to go down to a single Incinerate. And there goes game 2. In game 3, we get an extremely Pharaoh matchup, and especially the reason why I started using Ferrothorn is a Graveler in the lead. Terror matchup for them, they switch into Vigoroth, so I switch into my Altaria so I can go ahead and win this matchup pretty easily. In a situation where you have a favorable lead, you want to make sure that you maintain that lead. When I bring out my Altaria, I put it here because I know that it can beat the Vigoroth in almost all shield situations. Since they didn't block the Sky attack, I'm going to just focus on a farm down here. They should be able to get to a third Body Slam, which isn't great, but that's okay for me because I want the Vigoroth to do as much damage as possible to my Altaria without actually taking it out. The reason for this is because I want the Graveler to not be able to farm down my Altaria. Out comes the Graveler, I get to the Moonblast and throw it right away. If I can get a debuff over here, that'd be pretty nice, but it isn't really necessary to win this matchup at this point. The Graveler is going to farm down my Altaria. I'm going to now bring out my Ferrothorn, which they respond with Trevenant. With Trevenant in play, I bring out my Talonflame, and I'm going to just rush my Flame Charge as quickly as possible. I blocked this first attack just in case it was a Shadow Ball, which it was. But at the end of the day, I don't think that they had a lot of play here. More likely than not, I would still be able to survive a Shadow Ball and still get off 2 Flame Charges. Now, if they had gone for a bait, it would still have been really low. I might not have been able to get the second shield here. That being said, there just isn't a lot of play they had at this point. If my Talonflame had gone earlier, I could have still farmed it down with my Ferrothorn and tried to have gone for 2 Power Whips. The thing is that this Graveler wouldn't have done enough damage with even 2 Stone Edges to take out my Ferrothorn. And there's game 3. In game 4, we get another spicy pick. It's the Cast Form. I know someone featured a video of Cast Form recently that had, I think it was a Rock Weather Ball as well as Energy Ball. That being said, I resist, I think, every attack that this Cast Form can possibly throw at me. So I'm not going to block anything over here. And I'm going to try to focus on getting as much energy out of this matchup as possible. If I can go ahead and take out this Cast Form and have a lot of energy for the next fight, that would be optimal. I know that I need 2 power-ups to take it out, so I'm throwing this first one here, and I'm going to try to charge up a second power-up before I throw it again. I'm still not going to block it, but I'm starting to notice that this Cast Form is still doing a lot of chip damage, even though I fully resist them. Here's the second power. It should take it out. That being said, they stick in the Hex over here, which isn't a big deal. So they brought out Trevenant, and now I'm in a really bad position. And the reason is because I'm going to throw this Flash Cannon here, and instead of what I should have done is actually bring out my Talonflame. The reason for this is because, once again, you want to basically cover your weaknesses as much as possible. The worst part is they actually brought a Shadow Aerodactyl, which I have no way of actually beating at this point. They can rock throw my entire team over here. If I played this a little bit, I think I could have won it, but I just let go of too much in this situation like this. If I had switched like that I was supposed to into the Talonflame, I would have forced the Trevenant to switch out faster, meaning they would have a little bit less energy. On top of that, I would have saved some extra health on my Ferrothorn and forced the shield off the Aerodactyl. Naturally, it's super important to not misplay during your games, so make sure you watch your matchups and don't make mistakes. There goes game 4. In game 4, we see a pretty unfair matchup in the game, so I switch into Altaria like it's supposed to, because I can go ahead and soak up the counter damage, and then go ahead and go for the win and win switch. I thought it was a little strange that the Vigoroth had not thrown any body slams at this point. That being said, as long as I can get 2 sky attacks off on this Vigoroth, I'm in a good position. The reason is because the Altaria will either take out the Vigoroth and win switch, quote unquote, or B, it'll get both the shields. This is the second body slam from Vigoroth, which is okay. I can probably get to a sky attack before they get to this body slam, and we see P-tie here. I'm not sure how that happened. I think I should have won that, but it doesn't matter. I throw the sky attack right away because I want to take this shield out or take out the Vigoroth. If I can get the shield here, I can farm down with my Talonflame and have a ton of loaded energy on it. They throw energy here. I'm not sure if they would have made it to the, or if I would have made it to the sky attack first, but either way, I'm going to let this Altaria go. I bring out my Talonflame to farm down, and they respond with a Talonflame. This is actually a really good play for my opponent. The reason is because they don't want me to farm down the Vigoroth because I would have so much energy advantage. That being said, when they bring out their Talonflame, I think they're hoping for a CMP tie. If they can land a CMP tie, they put a lot of shield pressure on my Talonflame. They brought an obstacle over here, which isn't the best thing I want to see, but it's okay because I can still get this Brave Bird off and do a lot of damage to the obstacle, and I know that the obstacle cannot take out my Ferrothorn. Even though I have this shield here, I'm okay letting my Talonflame go because it's done its job. I also, the obstacle cannot take out the Ferrothorn, so I farm down and prepared to power whip the Vigoroth. And there goes game 5. So I've run this team for a total of, I think, maybe 4 sets. I was testing it out with other teams, but ultimately when I did its test run for these videos, it went 5-0, 4-1, and 3-2. I definitely think it's one of the stronger teams, and I recommend trying it out if you want a decent team that's relatively accessible for most players. The biggest weakness to this team would be those anti-flyers, but Ferrothorn covers anti-flyers pretty well, which is why I like it. Ironically speaking, we saw a Chestnut earlier today. That was a really good core breaker to the team because it actually has good play against all my Pokemon, and I had really bad play against it. If y'all like the team, give me a like. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it. If there's a team that you want to see or a Pokemon that you want to see featured, let me know, and I'll see what I can do to make it happen like always. Other than that, I wish y'all the best luck in the Battle League.